and welcome to this Hard Wax Solutions video presented on the Esthetician Connection. My name is Sheri Flasch. I'm so happy to be here. I am a master licensed esthetician and a Sodesco diplomat, as well as the CEO and founder of the Esthetician Connection. So excited to have with me today Ivana Rivera from Hard Wax Solutions. Hi, Ivana. How are you?
Hi, Sheri. I'm doing good. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you. Could you please share a little bit about you, who you are, how you came to be, and how Hard Wax Solutions came to be with our audience, please?
Oh, absolutely. My name is Ivana Rivera. I am a 10-year licensed esthetician. I am a full-time salon owner, full-time waxer, and I essentially began my esthetician journey, I want to say about 5 years ago when I decided to go off on my own. And since then, we've had much success when it comes to salon ownership. We also are extremely passionate about education when it comes to waxing. So I founded the company Hard Wax Solutions. So we are an education-based company. And we also do provide and distribute the best Italian-made hard wax, soft wax, pretty much any waxing supplies for your practice. And then we have a full line of tutorials to basically teach the esthetician how to perform proper waxing techniques, classes. I mean, you name it, we kind of do it on that side of it. So I'm really excited to share with you a lot of the stuff that we get to work on.
And that is, I think with waxing, I think the education is key because there's so many estheticians that actually want to specialize in waxing. That's what they want to do. So they need as much of that education and the video. They love seeing the education, not just reading it when it comes to waxing. So, and I know that you have set yourself kind of as a specialist in waxing. And how did you do that? How did you kind of set yourself up as a specialist in the waxing arena?
So I was very fortunate enough to land a job doing full-time waxing right out of school. So of course, in school you do learn the basics, but I really only worked with soft wax because that's all they had available for me. This was back in 2010. I think, or 2011 when I attended esthetician school. So back then they had hard wax, but it wasn't widely available or known about. It was just starting to kind of hit market. And once I graduated, I decided to get a job. I ended up by chance landing a job with a franchise that did solely waxing. So I really was able to perfect my technique in the 5 years that I had been with that company. And I became a regional trainer for the company. And I ended up, really devoting my life to them and, devoting my time into perfecting my technique. I always knew I wanted to be a salon owner at some point, but I just, making the transition is really hard, obviously, when you work with a very well-known company. And then the scariest part is, making the jump to go on your own. And then when I decided to do that, after about a year or so of practice on my own and developing myself, I noticed that there was a lack of education. Now, of course, you can go on Instagram and TikTok and all of those other avenues and see little clips of people waxing. You can see waxing products, things like that, but there was no actual step-by-step videos or anything that I could find that can help even just the beginner waxer, not someone who's been doing waxing for 5 years and then wanted to learn Brazilians or something. I'm talking like somebody who just got out of school. So I saw a need for that. And I decided to try to take it upon myself to fill the need and to come up with a way that new waxers, old waxers, seasoned waxers could learn and perfect their practice, because anybody can wax, but really there's a lot of things that you can do to set yourself apart from, the waxer down the street. So, that's actually why I came on here today to talk to you about that as well. Some things that I've learned along the way that have proven to be successful and will definitely help expand and not only perfect your technique, but also have you become the trusted source for waxing and wherever you are located.
And once you have a loyal customer with waxing, once you have won them over, that is guaranteed income for years,
Yeah.
and that's just, because people are very, once they find the perfect waxer, that's it, because it is something that is not only intimate, but it involves pain and etc. So it's really important. What are some of the things that you did to set yourself apart? I mean, do you only provide waxing? Is that what did you kind of go into that? The other thing I think is really interesting is having, you mentioned that you had taught for a well-known waxing spa chain or whatnot. I think that's important because you really learned when you were there how to teach, because they put you in that position to teach their team.
Yeah.
That sets you apart as an educator, having the experience behind you in educating, and then going off and realizing, hey, there's more, everyone needs this, not just the people that work for this chain. All waxers need this. And that's where you filled that need. And I think that's really cool. So if you were to list perhaps the top 3 things that you do that sets you completely apart from any other waxer out there, what would they be?
So I definitely think that I would like to say 3, but there's definitely a lot of things that go into ensuring that you have longevity with these clients. I know, I have, and I still have people who have been coming to me for 5, 6 years already that, just truly refuse to go anywhere else, regardless of whether it's cheaper or whether they're using the same type of products. I mean, it's really, there's a lot that does go into it. So if I really had to sum it up, I would definitely say a big one is empathy. This is a service that can cause pain. You can promise a painless wax as much as you can deliver it, but at the end of the day, if you really dive deep into what we're doing, we are ripping hair out of your body. I definitely think that if you are aware that it is hurtful to others, or that it can be, you have to really just do your best to keep your client calm and to show empathy with them, because there's something about understanding that what you're doing to them is possibly painful. Really putting yourself in their shoes when you are performing the service. I think that's really important, because you can rip a strip as best you think you can, but if you don't work really hard to like at least acknowledge their pain, a lot of the times they'll feel that you rushed, or they'll feel like you didn't care. People will come here and be like, wow, like that was a lot less painful, and thanks for talking me through that. Like they almost kind of will rely on you for comfort because you are the one performing the service. It's definitely a trait that you will have to learn in order to be successful in waxing, because that is a big part of the process. Pain comes with waxing. So you would really need to learn how to mitigate that pain for them. So I'd say empathy is, number one. Practicing pain management, that does come along with empathy, but being able to deliver pain management with your service is extremely important as well. So not only do you have to understand that they're in pain and acknowledge it, but then you also have to work really hard to make sure that you are not hurting them excessively. So there's some ways that you can do that. My favorite way is after I pull a strip, and you will see this in all the tutorial videos that I do, I apply pressure right away. As soon as I rip the strip, I lay my hand wherever the area is, and I just hold it there for a few seconds, or until I can see like the pain is starting to subside on their face. Taking that extra couple seconds to really try to mitigate their pain, that is almost as important as having empathy for them. So using pressure after each pull and making sure that they are comfortable in the room is going to be a big factor of why people will come back to you. I'd say, so for the third one, I would probably say aftercare. Aftercare is really important when it comes to waxing, especially to deliver a good wax. You want to make sure that they're taking care of it at home. Really, they can come to you for any skincare services or any waxing services. I consider myself like the gym. You come to me, you see me once a month. I do what I can for your skin and your waxing. But if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing at home, what I do is really only 50% of what needs to get done. So having proper aftercare available for your client is, I'd say, I don't even think I can categorize these three topics as like first, second, and third. Like they are all important, and they're all like number one. So having the proper aftercare to give to them is just as important as pain management and empathy as well. That way makes your wax easier. And then it also helps them keep clear skin at home. And then it only leads to easier, more successful waxes in the future.
Absolutely. And when you were talking about pain management and empathy, a really good analogy would be, going in for a medical procedure and it's going to be painful. Let's say they're going to take blood or, something.
Yeah.
If you go in and a person just says, "Give me your arm," takes the blood and walks away, that's going to really resonate with you, even though it's not going to be comfortable, but you're actually going to be unhappy and uncomfortable. Whereas if the person kind of walks you through the steps, asks you if you're comfortable, all of those things makes such a difference they understand that you understand what they're going through. So they know you've been waxed, they know that you know exactly what they're feeling, and they know you care. That's really important. I think when you go anywhere and you feel uncared for, that can be a very stressful thing, and it doesn't make you want to return, for sure.
Yeah.
And then with the products, I look at it this way. Clients may not ask you for the products. "Hey, what can I buy?" It's not typically something that comes out of their mouth. Mm-hmm. But you're doing them a disservice if you don't recommend something, because two things. One, they're going to go out and buy something. They're going to go, "Oh gosh, I have these bumps," or "Oh gosh, how do I do that?" Yep. They're going to go out and just find something and buy it, and it may or may not work. You don't want them leaving without the guidance. Like you said, it's like a gym. If you go to the gym and then you eat donuts and pizza every day between going to the gym, not going to see the same results. So they have to know it's this team effort. So I think that's a really, really good point. You had shared with me earlier, you send a card home with all of your waxing clients. Yes. And I think that the viewers would like to hear about that, because I know there's so many that are not doing that, and that can make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have a whole process when it comes to receiving a new client, receiving a normal client. I've been to places where they'll just take you in. They don't ask you any questions. They'll wax you, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And then you leave and you're questioning, like, what just happened to me? So as time went on, like, I had visited so many places that this was the case, that I really realized the need for these steps. So to set yourself apart as a waxer, the first thing that you would need to do is to have intake forms and liability waivers. I definitely think that's important, especially because this service can be dangerous, especially if you are waxing intimate areas. Obviously, anything can happen. You want to protect yourself, and you want to protect your business or your license. Honestly, anybody who is waxing without a license, that's illegal. So you're leaving yourself open for all kinds of liability there. I definitely think having liability waivers and intake forms to learn about your client is important. The things that you would put on that form, you would do health history, some contraindications for waxing, like acne medication. Mm-hmm. They cannot get waxed if they're on any type of topical acne medication. Accutane, you need to know if they've been on Accutane within the past 6 months, because then you can't wax them anywhere. So it's extremely important that is something that you are finding out first before you even take them back into the room, which will help you in your waxing success. Because again, if you don't ask them if they're on any kind of acne medication, and you wax their brows, and now the skin has lifted, now you've kind of like left yourself open for anything that may come from that, whether they scar and whatnot. So I think to help avoid accidents, you have to learn their health history, medication history, and all of that can be put on an intake waiver when you first take them back.
Do you, on the intake waiver, quick question. So they come in the first time, you go through the waiver with them. Now, everything goes fine. They fill it out. Let's say they come back a month later. you probably don't do the whole thing again, but how do you keep updated with, is there kind of like those basic questions you say, like, have you added any medication since our last visit? I mean, do you ask them these questions or do you have them do a complete form each time?
So you have that's honestly a decision that you'll have to make for yourself and your business. To avoid like excess paperwork, you may want to switch to electronic intake forms. That way you can just have them like sign it every time they visit. I personally don't have them do it anytime they visit, but in the room I ask, because if you don't ask, think about it. You've been seeing them for 5 years, and then all of a sudden they went to the dermatologist and got some tretinoids for their face, and you wax their brows, they've never been on that medication except for the past week. And I hate to say it, we can't always trust the doctor to give them all of the side effects right when they prescribe something like that. So that's something that you're just going to have to decide for yourself as a business owner, but also make it a point to ask them that in the room. Are you on any kind of acne medications or Accutane? Any new medications that I need to know about? And then you can go ahead and start with the service.
That is a really good point.
Mhm.
With products that you send home with them, or you recommend that they take home with them, what are the top products that you think they need to take or use in between their waxing services? Because I think that's where a lot of waxers kind of fall short. They love the service, they love providing the service, but then they're done and they move on to the next one. I
Yeah.
think that there's two things that are involved here. One, you're helping your client, they're going to see much better results. And two, your income is going to go up. And as an esthetician, that's crucial. I mean, you only can do so many waxes in a day,
Oh,
right? So
for
when
sure.
you put this in here, you're adding to your income, but you're also helping your clients. So what do you typically recommend?
So once I'm finished with the service, I'm going to refer back to the card that I told you about. This is the Aftercare card, and a lot of the Aftercare instructions are on here, which does include products. So I can read off what I usually recommend. I have two options: the first 24 hours, and then I have until your next wax. So it's what to do within the first day, what to do for the next 2 weeks. And then on the back, I have a pre-wax checklist, which goes over all of the things that need to get done before you come back. So for the first 24 hours, I usually recommend refrain from exercise, tanning, and saunas. Do not touch the waxed area. And if an intimate area has just been waxed, please refrain from any intercourse or sexual activity. Please refrain from using any products on the area for the first 24 hours. And then please shower and cleanse yourself at soonest convenience. So you always want to clean your skin after a wax. We do what we can in the room to clean it, but after you've been waxed, there may be some pinpoint bleeding. It's best to just take a nice shower after you've been waxed, regardless of the type of wax we have used. And then for aftercare purposes, product wise, until your next wax, I put down exfoliate. If you do experience ingrowns, use a topical ingrown hair treatment to treat and prevent future ingrowns. And then I left a contact information. Call us if you do have any questions or concerns. So knowing that they have a lifeline there, if they are experiencing anything that they would think is abnormal, a lot of the times it's very normal, but they don't know that. So we leave contact information so that way they feel like they can contact us right away if they do have any questions. So to refer back to some of the aftercare products that I spoke about, I really like to refer our Dr. Bump exfoliator. We have 4 or 5 different formulas, and these are all natural type of exfoliators that will nourish, hydrate the skin, but also help lift off any dead skin that could be blocking new hairs from coming through. Exfoliate is the first thing that needs to get done, even before your client decides to purchase any ingrown hair products, and it should be done every 2 to 3 days. You don't want to over exfoliate, but especially when the hair is growing back. So in that weird stage when the hair is like not completely out of the skin yet, but um, not really there yet, that's when some people after a wax will experience irritation. So that's, you have to exfoliate through that. And once the hair breaks out of the skin, you would continue exfoliating up until your next wax. You just don't want to exfoliate the day of your wax, because the wax will exfoliate them anyway. So you do not need to exfoliate that day. You could do it the night before, but you do not need to exfoliate before a wax, because that actually can cause skin lifting, because now they have new skin and now you are waxing brand new skin, which can cause it to lift. If they are experiencing ingrowns on top of them exfoliating and them being a consistent waxing client, some people are just predisposed to them, especially those who are of ethnic descent, anyone who just has really curly, thick hair. I mean, you name it, there's really no rhyme or reason why someone would get an ingrown besides not doing proper aftercare at home. So there are products available that we have to help mitigate that for them as well, regardless of their circumstance. So this is our Rockstar product. It is the Dr. Bump ingrown hair roll-on. It is a roll-on product, which means you do not need to touch it with your hands, which is really great. You would just put it on the area, and it's a full body product. So it's made for the bikini line, the Brazilian, obviously not inside, but on the outside areas. You can use it on your backside cheeks, underarms, your back. I mean, anywhere that you would get waxing bumps, razor bumps, ingrown hairs, ingrowns that have now turned into pimples or cysts. This can be used for all of it. And what it does is it's so powerful because there is a 3-blend acne medication product in here. So there's salicylic acid, lactic acid, and glycolic acid in here to help kill any ingrowns that may be brewing or treat any ones that you may already have. It also has witch hazel and tea tree in it to add like a natural component to the products that are in here. But this is something that I would say you should at least mention to your clients, especially they may not have ingrowns now, but in 3 months they may get one. So if they already have this on hand, they'll already have a way to treat it without having to come back in and get something or buy something online. I definitely think you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not at least mentioning that there's a solution to a problem that either they have or that they will have in the future.
And the now let's say a client they say, oh my gosh, I always get ingrowns, and you recommend the product and they take it with them. So now they're scheduled for a month out from now. How far before that appointment would you like them to stop using the Dr. Bump so that they don't have any problems? Like you don't want to be too sensitive when you wax them.
Right. And those products, like, as you mentioned, are exfoliating products. So there is a chance that, their skin may be on the thinner side if they are using the product before they come in. So I usually recommend no exfoliation at least 24 hours before your wax. And then you can stop using this product 2 to 3 days before your wax. But you would use it even if a lot of people don't realize that it can be used even if you have hair. So you don't want to stop using it once your hair has already grown out. You can continue to do that throughout. And then you can go ahead the next day after your wax, go ahead and start using the product again.
That's a good point. And, just so we have, because I bet you we have a lot of new waxers on here as well. So we have probably seasoned waxers watching and new waxers. Few little things that, that I see that new estheticians to waxing is how do they discern when to pick a hard wax and when to pick a soft wax for their client? Because many estheticians who wax offer both. You offer both as well. So you have both of them there. Your client walks in and you're like, okay, where do I start? Who do I do a hard wax on and who do I do a soft wax on? What is your best advice for that?
So I like to stress that hard wax should be used for intimate areas. Brazilian waxing, inner butt strip waxing, underarm waxing, it does lessen the chance of skin lifting. So that is something that is going to matter most in those areas. I would say, as a personal preference, I would use soft wax for brows, especially to give you those really clean lines that people are seeking. Everybody wants Instagram brows now. So it's going to help you achieve that a little faster. As far as any other facial areas, soft wax has a tendency to leave a sticky residue on the skin. You can always take it off by adding oil, but if they have problematic skin, that's not always the best route. I like to use hard wax in other areas of the face, like if somebody wants their cheeks wax or their chin, or their lip. I tend to use hard wax in that area because, again, you can go up to 2 times on the face to make sure you got all the hair. And it also does a better job of not compromising the skin. I would say hard wax is my preference for waxing, but there are times where you would use soft wax. Same thing with bigger body parts. It may be more economically sound to use a soft wax, like someone's back, for instance. You can completely cover the body with wax and then use the same strip to continue taking off the hair. It may be a faster service for you, and soft wax is essentially cheaper than hard wax. So there may be times where for full arms or for full back or for full legs, you may want to do soft wax to help cut costs for your salon, and to help perform the service just a little bit faster.
Great tips, by the way. And I think that that's going to benefit a lot of new waxers for sure. What are, I am familiarizing myself with many of your waxes, and I've used quite a few of them. And everyone I've used is wonderful. So let's say again, you're new to the brand. Let's say somebody is new to Hard Wax Solutions. Give them a little guidance on, because I know you've got your favorites. And
Yes.
I think it's really important, that you let them know, hey, if you're doing a lot of this type of waxing, you might want to lean towards charcoal, or you might want to, share some of the waxes that you have and kind of why they might pick them over another one.
You can offer 2 types of waxes for your practice: one that is all natural at one price, and one that is hypoallergenic at a slightly higher price. Because hypoallergenic does cost a little bit more to make, it is a little bit higher in price to be sold. So it is something that you can offer to your clients, especially if they're on the sensitive side, a hypoallergenic alternative for an additional $3 to $5 on top of the service. At our practicing salon, we strictly use a hypoallergenic hard waxes, which is our personal favorite, mainly because you have pretty much eliminated the histamine reaction that a client may experience because of what's in the product. So I'd say 99.9% of people will not have a histamine reaction. The same cannot be said for soft wax because there is beeswax in the product. And the same cannot be said for our natural hard waxes, which also have beeswax in the product. They're usually like a hybrid. I know our professional blue is half synthetic hard wax, which is hypoallergenic, and half beeswax. And it's a really pretty royal blue color. But it does offer some pliability when you mix beeswax with the product. So it's really a personal preference of what you want to offer to your clients. Now, there's also soft wax that I really like to use, like our Italian velvet soft
Mhm.
wax. It's a really beautiful color, and it doesn't leave any sticky residue on the skin, which is really unique because there's not a lot of soft waxes that can kind of make that claim. We have another one called Marine Blue, which once you put it on and you use the strip to take it off, I mean, there is no stickiness. And that's not always the case with soft wax. I'd say 80% of them, you have to use oil to take off the sticky. So that's definitely like a plus. So I recommend, if you are proficient in soft wax, that you use soft wax that does not leave sticky residue on the skin. And you may want to have several. You can have gel hard waxes and creamy ones. Any creamy wax tends to grab the hair a little better. I like to have soft wax on hand and hard wax on hand, and just be prepared for whatever might come your way, because there's nothing worse than like having someone in the room and one wax pot is not on. You thought you turned it on in the morning and you didn't, but you turned another one on that you had, and luckily you had that. That I can't tell you how many times that saved me in the middle of the day, or just at the beginning of the day, because things happen and you forget. And that just comes with like running a business, sometimes that you make mistakes. So I definitely think that having more than one option for you and for your clients is important. Actually be really versatile and be able to offer exactly what your client needs. That way they have no other reason to go anywhere else.
I like that. And I also, what I heard there, which I think is going to be really important to waxers too, is don't just have one pot.
Yeah.
If you are a waxer, if this is what you want to do and you want to set yourself apart and you want to be, known for waxing and you want to do a lot of waxing, you want to have multiple pots. Like she said, not only to have different waxes in there, but for those times that things, oh, we were out of wax or this happened. So having it, and like you said too, someone might come in and say, hey, I need a Brazilian and a brow. And you need to have both waxes on hand. So one of the other things I like about Hard Wax Solutions is you have a variety of different warmers as well. So they can get a large one, they can get a double one. I mean, there's lots of options. And I think that's important to mention. And, one last thing, I don't want to forget this because I think this is also really important. Can you talk a little bit about the rebooking process and making sure that they're consistent with their waxing and they're coming back and that there's follow-up there? What do you do for that?
You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not at least mentioning the option of pre-booking. A couple of reasons why it's important is they will see a reduction of the hair growth faster. So I'm sure you've heard of someone who has waxed off their brows on accident and they've never grown back. Well, that can happen with your entire body. So damaging those hair follicles monthly will cause you to go bald. So if that is of interest to them, then I definitely think that's worth mentioning. The pain is also a factor. So if they keep their wax within 4 weeks, now they've ensured that that root has not had an opportunity to grow. And what that means for you is it's easier to come out of the pore and it hurts a lot less when it does. So because of that, that alone should be a big push for your clients to want to stay consistent because nobody wants to go through their first painful wax ever again. So being consistent in that area is really important. I definitely think having a structured schedule as a business owner or an esthetician is very important. It's very hard to live a normal life if you don't know your schedule. A lot of people do it. I still fail at that sometimes, and I take in people last minute, and we do what we can to satisfy our customer, which is the ultimate goal. But having a structured schedule in there, and working towards that, it's not going to happen overnight, but working towards having a full book next month is so important as a practitioner. That way you're able to kind of work around your home life and your wax life around that. So pre-booking is important in all aspects of business, not only in income wise, but also just having like a work-life balance, knowing when you're going to work, knowing when you have clients, and being able to either block off time for yourself or schedule out people so they can work around your schedule. I think that's probably one of the most important reasons why pre-booking is important.
Absolutely. And I think, when you're waxing a client, what I'm hearing here is educating your client, because you can sit there and talk about their next vacation. You can sit there and talk about what was on TV last night. And I'm sure part of the services is a little socializing because we have X amount of time with them. But the most important thing is letting them know that you're the professional. You're letting them know how they can maximize the way they're spending money. So how can you maximize your dollar? You can maximize your dollar by getting regular waxes, using these home care products. They're going to hear that, and they're going to know that you're giving them the information. If they come to you a month later and there's problems, first question out of your mouth is, did you use the exfoliant? Oh no, I never bought that. Okay, well, we discussed that in your last appointment. So it really covers you as well. And that's one of the things I like about Hard Wax Solutions is the fact that you educate the esthetician to help them educate the client. Right. That's what's so important. And right now we are in the middle of a brand highlight with Hard Wax. And so I'm super excited. I know. So we wanted to do something different for our video because so many people on our platforms have been asking questions about wax. And Ivana and I thought, wow, this would be a really great idea if we just kind of shared insights on this. And then Ivana has tons of tutorial videos. You've got an opportunity to see a plethora of treatments through Hard Wax Solutions. And they also have an entire line of hard wax, soft wax, the pre-wax products, the post-wax products. And then, as she mentioned today, the products that you're going to be retailing to your client in between. And all of these are important factors when becoming a professional waxer. So I wanted to thank you so much for sharing this information with our members. It's much appreciated.
Absolutely. I definitely think that, waxing is starting to become more popular as time goes on. And I definitely think that education, like from taking the client into the room all the way to educating on how you can get them back into your room at the end of the service is extremely important. So I'm really happy that I was able to come on here today and talk to you about that and help other estheticians, really become successful in their waxing practice.
Well, thank you again. And if you are interested in learning more about Hard Wax Solutions and all of the products they offer, make sure you check out estheticianconnection.com. You can also visit our Facebook page. We've got a group for licensed estheticians and spa professionals, and we run brand highlights every week. And this week is going to be Hard Wax Solutions. So you're going to have the opportunity to try some of the products at some exclusive pricing. So thank you, Ivana, much appreciated. And we will see you all next time in our next video. And Ivana, thank you very much for the information.
Thank you, Sheri, and it was good talking with you, and look forward to the next one.
Awesome. Bye, guys.